Now, some of you may have remembered a recent video I did with one of my other friends and assistant, Mia. Well, now I'm with Daisy, and I know many of you are thinking, wow, how did this guy do it? Well, that's a secret I'm going to tell you. So, Daisy, welcome. Maybe you don't need to say anything. People will just look at you and believe any good things about you, right? But we're going to learn a little about you, right? You're going to tell, you have problems too, right? Even though you're so lovely, you got problems, right? Is that right?
I do have my own problems.
Oh my God, but they're yours. They're not anybody else's, right?
Yes.
Okay, well that's good to know. All right, so, but I like problems. Give me, what was your problem? What would you like to be different, Daisy?
Okay, so now I would like to talk about my problem. Yes, I grew up in a family which doesn't have much communication.
Okay.
Yes, and my feeling doesn't be heard or expressed.
Okay, so you really suppressed yourself. You weren't expressed. Okay.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
my parent was always busy with work.
Very, very busy working and earning enough money.
Yeah, So over time, I feel like it's very difficult for me to share my feeling, and it's very hard to express.
It maybe doesn't feel safe, right?
Yeah. So now I have to deal with everything alone. I feel like it's hard for me to share with anybody.
Right.
And yes.
So you feel like you're in this world all alone, and you got to, whatever your problems are, you got to figure them all out yourself, right? So, well, that's the way a lot of people do it. You're not. Maybe you could talk with one of those other people who does it that way. Oh, but that's not going to work though, because you both have decided not to talk with other people, right? So you can't even share with them about how you're one of those people who doesn't share. That's really, you got yourself in a difficult situation there, lady. Yeah. Okay. So you made some sort of maybe early decision, like you just got to do it yourself, right? And if you try to share it, nobody around you either cares or they don't have any ability to help, right?
Yeah.
And you just have to be strong yourself, right? Yeah, and you look like one of those persons who's done that very well, And by the way, I admire you a lot, so please don't hear this as any sort of criticism, Daisy. Okay?
Yes.
So, yeah, but it feels very lonely, and it can feel like
deep down in my heart. I feel like some lonely thing always stuck in there.
Yeah. I have some idea what that's like. It's different for me, but some idea about that, Daisy. So you made some sort of decision. Okay. So let me just ask, is there anybody, any friend currently in your life that you consider sort of a friend, maybe somewhat safe, okay, that now there's no guarantees how they might respond, but if you were willing to feel some fear, you probably would feel some fear and you could say something like, hey, I realize I've been keeping, not sharing so openly with you. I'd just like to share something I haven't shared before. I don't know how you might feel about it. I'd like you, if you could, just listen to me. I'm not necessarily asking you to fix anything, and just say that. I know that would probably feel pretty risky. Do you think? What do you? If you imagine doing that, would that feel risky or not?
I cannot call it risky. but I still feel like something very hard to share.
Yeah, so, okay, but you say hard.
Hard. Difficult.
So, okay, like a rock hard? Like a rock is hard? What do you mean hard? Let me see. So you know how to speak words, right? And we could even design the words for you to say. And you could say, let's just pretend you're an actress, and your job is to speak these words. Because I think you're interested in even being an actress, right? So you would know you could speak those words. If you were pretending to be that character, you could probably do that, right? Yeah. And so, what's hard there? I mean, I'm just suggesting it's this type of fear. Okay, I don't know. Or maybe you can even try, even if you can't feel the fear. You might. Have you ever heard me tell you about the? Oh my God, I'm so scared. Did I tell you about that process? You know, like maybe even try, even if you don't feel the fear. Like imagine saying that to your friend or something, and by yourself. You can do it by yourself. Like deep breath. Oh my God, I'm so scared. It feels so hard to share this with anybody. Oh my God, you know. And do that, you know. Something like that, you know. See if you might loosen it up. Okay, a little bit. And, you know, there's no guarantees how somebody might respond. But I've had so much experience with people who somewhat believe like you, but they chose some courage to be more open. And they got surprised. Oh my God, you know, there's other people like me, or there's other people who can understand me, you know. And not that they necessarily have a solution, okay, but it's nice to know that. Because it's so easy to believe, you know. Like you said, they're my problems, right? Well, they are your problems, but hey, guess what? Your problems are really not that much fundamentally different than other people's problems. Yours have their own flavor to them, yes. You know, don't have to worry about them being different that way. You know,
I'm trying to.
I think we need to get you over here. I don't know. You keep going out. All right. So, I don't know where they saw you, but anyway, maybe you go back this way. You come this way, okay? All right. So, anyway, and then what happens often? Then you share a little bit more. And maybe some of your friends you'll find, no, it doesn't work with them. Maybe you can just still be friends in the old way, or even go separate ways, you know. And so you begin to discover that people around you, because probably, correct me if I'm wrong, you may have also this idea, is people only like me because of what they see, which is pretty big mask, right? Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And it doesn't. Hey, we all have a mask, you know, and masks are nice to have. Okay. But when you can't take them off, at least some, you know, with some people, you know, then it's very lonely. Even you have all sorts of people that to say that you're a friend, you know, it's lonely, understandably, and you reconfirm the belief, some sort of belief. Oh, if people really knew me, they wouldn't like me. Well, you didn't give them a chance, you know. I mean, maybe they wouldn't like you, but then you cannot like. Well, I'm not saying you don't have to like, but they could just go different ways, you know. You know, yeah. Everybody doesn't need to like you, right? Yeah, and you can find those people, you know, or discover those, and you can discover yourself. Even that you say you think we know ourselves, but one of the best ways to know ourselves more deeply is by it's in the process, and also you're curious about them. I would think you would, if they had something to share with you.
Yeah.
Do you think you would probably really appreciate their courage, their vulnerability to open up and share with you, right? Yeah. And I'm very touched that you brought up this problem, because it is so. I mean, it's so. I can imagine, because in some way, I'm not sure we all have, but I can relate to this problem with some of my earlier life, really. I had my own flavor, yes, but I know, and I felt like, oh my God, but step by step I started sharing more. Oh my God, even the strange, I mean, you know how weird I am. You can't be any more weird than me, right? And some people still seem to like me, So, you can be prepared to be surprised. And you can take it step by step, it doesn't have to be overnight.
Yeah.
And start with one or two people, and just and honor yourself for the courage, regardless of how they respond. Like that's what if we're gonna make any sort of a judgment about ourselves, it's about the willingness to choose courage, not whether we get some particular response, because however they respond doesn't mean anything about you. I mean, you're already great. Okay. And you can start to feel that and know that yourself the more you choose courage. Have you heard that? Can you just speak a few words? Because I keep going on and on here, just assuming you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm just listening to your advice. And now, yes, I'm trying to be more open now.
Well, maybe don't use the word try. Okay, just say.
Try? Why not?
You either are or you're not. You choose courage to be more open or you don't. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's a choice. It's like you don't, like if I say, I'm going to try to pick this up. I'm going to try to pick this. I'm going to, either pick it up or I don't. Okay. And this is somewhat like that,
Mm-hmm.
And you can do it. It doesn't mean, there's you don't have to do this fast, okay? Just step by step, And so, does that make sense? Does that fit?
Yeah.
Okay. And what, there's a expression, love yourself. You hear it a lot. Oh, love yourself, love yourself.
Yeah.
But nobody tells you how to love yourself, right?
Mm-hmm.
They just say, just repeat it. I love you, I love you. That might I love myself, I love myself. That might have some effect. But the best way to love yourself is choosing courage. Choosing courage to open, to open, or choosing courage to say no.
Yes.
When you need to say no, or choosing courage to make requests, to take care of yourself. And every time you choose courage, and pat yourself on the back, regardless of the result, you're loving yourself more. It's like loving yourself. The expression, the feeling of like this. Yeah, I do. Yeah, yes. You don't have to try. It's like you can feel your love because you're acting congruent with loving yourself. because our number one job is to take care of ourselves.
No, you told me before.
Oh, I told you that before, okay.
I get that sentence in mind, always in my mind.
Yeah. Well, but of course there's the how to, and it's like, and of course short term and long term, but usually it involves choosing courage to make request, choosing courage to say no, choosing courage to be maybe more open, risk, even sometimes choosing courage to keep your mouth shut. Parents, when they want to say, do your children, their big courage is keeping their mouth shut, So courage can take many forms, all of which is taking care of yourself and loving yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. So, now I know this is a step-by-step process, and I want you to remember the oh my God, I'm so scared, it's so hard. Really, loosen up. Don't fight with the fear. Just loosen up, and then see what level of courage you're willing to choose. Maybe just a little bit of courage. You don't have to say everything at once, and notice how the person responds, and invite partnership. Stay out. And if you find that somebody, just whatever reason, they didn't find you. But there's so many people who would be honored to have this relationship with you, where you share. I mean, I'm honored already myself,
Yes.
You already do some of that with me. And they would be honored that you were willing to choose courage to be vulnerable this way with them, and they with you too, And so, the trouble is, it's all in your hands. If you're waiting for somebody else to do it for you, you can't delegate that, And the good news is, maybe when you're a little child, you did the best you could. You're no longer that little child. Don't think you see, we act as if we're in the same circumstance. Circumstance changed.
Yeah.
But your behavior not changed, okay?
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
So you're still acting like it's an unsafe world. Maybe it was back then, okay? But it's not now. The world's pretty goddamn safe. People are pretty goddamn safe. And you can keep boundaries when you need to. You got all the power,
I can change it. I can.
Yeah. And it's step by step, sort of reprogramming the old programming of be safe. It's actually a pretty dangerous place to be in terms of having a great life. So what's your takeaway, Daisy?
Yeah, I will, and I can change the circumstance. I will no longer be that child that feel unsafe because...
Wait. Just, if you don't mind a slight correction here. That child is inside of you. She's frightened. She may continue to be frightened. Don't see, if you say, I will no longer be that child, you're pushing her away. See, that's what your parents maybe did with you, okay? So, she's there. So when you feel that, just say, I know that you're frightened. Hold her.
I just pat.
Yeah, no, but more than hold her. This is your, you get to be, for yourself, the best parent maybe you never had. Okay. And don't say, no, I'm not. No, that's the problem. The pushing down, that's the problem. Embrace her. Yeah, and now we have the adult Daisy, with that child Daisy. Okay, holding her, loving her, letting her be frightened, and then maybe going together and looking for the boogeyman. Oh, is there a danger here? Really? Let's go look together. That you're with her. and that you hear, and you don't criticize her, you don't blame her for, be strong, don't cry, whatever those. I'm telling you, yeah. So, yeah. So say it. Please say again. So, just.
Yes. So now, I am. Adult Daisy will take good care of the small Daisy, and I will be that parent that I always want, that I was.
Yeah. It means you listen to her. You don't
praise her.
And you don't. Praise her. No, you don't even have to praise her. Like, don't just hold her like you're there for her. Okay, and you're like you're loving her, you're respecting her, and you're not criticizing her. And then say, I'm here. I'll always be here. And let's go see if this world's really as dangerous as you think it is. Because I think maybe some of those boogeymans may not exist. Let's go looking, see if we can find do you know the idea of boogeyman? No. In America, like say a 4-year-old son, Daddy, I'm so scared, and he's in the bed. Oh, what's wrong, son? Oh, there's a boogeyman in the closet. He's going to get me. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so a good father would say, oh, really? Can I go look in you stay here, son. I'll go look in the closet. Son, I don't see a boogeyman. Can you come here? Maybe you can show it to me. So you don't you hold the little Daisy. Okay. And by the way, we can follow up on this later, right? Anything you want to say to be complete for today, Daisy?
I want to say thank you. Yeah, because I always appreciate when you sharing things with me, and that's why I told you earlier. I'm trying to more open, because I see the image of you sharing with me the things.
I'm a little bit suspicious of that word trying. Okay, so just step by step, just actions, courage, patting yourself on the back, keeping your eyes open, taking care of yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.